Hi guys, so one of two here. We've got two of these cameras to go through. I thought I'd just do the first one now. Just a quick teardown. There's probably not going to be a lot to this, so we'll have a look at it. So this is the camera or scanner head from a very high resolution flatbed scanner. Yes, this came out of a flatbed scanner. A device called an Eskofot that was used for scanning up to a 2 size, I think, possibly up to A1. The whole thing was this massively overcomplicated setup, and this was at the heart of it. So we're just going to have a quick look at what's in the actual camera element, which is this part in here, and appreciate the engineering that's gone into this. Everything is absolutely solid aluminium. There's no room for any flex or movement in here. I don't know what resolution this scanner worked at, but I'm guessing it was fairly horrendous. We've got a aperture ring here, which has long since divested itself of its lens. Around the edge we have a number of holes. I don't know if you can see them there that easily there. So a vacuum is supplied to this to pull the page down onto it, and then as you can see the camera's downstairs, and then as you can see the camera's down there. The whole thing was driven, I don't know how this one was driven, but had a focus type setup on it, as you can see there. This is incredibly heavy as well. I mean, that's 10mm thick aluminium. So first thing we're going to do is liberate the camera and have a look at that. So let's get right down to doing that. And of course it's going to be the Allen key that I managed to lose the other day that I need. Of course it is. So as far as I can see, if we undo these clamps here and then not lightly done, I'm suspecting there's going to be a lot of thread lock involved in this. I've moved the microphone around again. Oh, it might come off. In the hope of getting less audio reflection from the wall and better coverage of my voice. I have got some acoustic tiles coming, so that should help, but this microphone does seem to work better. That looks like we can slide that out in a minute. Let's take this out. If you're taking something like this apart, incidentally, it is a source, or an endless source of machine screws. What have we actually got here? Yeah, we've got a thread locking compound of some kind there. So even if you're not going to use a component like this, then it's worth dismantling it just to avail yourself of all the nuts and bolts and everything. We've got something else stopping us there. Right, we just need to spread that clamp a little bit. I'm not sure if we'll be able to. And obviously it's probably potentially going to catch on the next one as well, so we'll just see if we can get a screwdriver in here, give it a little twist to spread that. Does that help us at all? I think it might be that I'm going to have to dismantle the whole thing. I really didn't want to have to do that. Maybe we can just take that clamp assembly out. Don't you love it when things don't go quite the way you'd expect them to? And we get the wrong bit again. It's the wrong bit, Gromit! This machine was incredibly heavily put together. Not 100% sure when it dated to. Beginning of sort of I'd say late 90s, beginning of 2000 is where the origins of this thing are. We might find a date somewhere that we can look at. But this thing had enormous 5-pole steppers in there, an embedded PC, and all sorts of RISC-based processing involved. So obviously quite a ways past where we are now. There's all sorts of adjustable stages and things in there. It's a lovely piece of engineering. Right, we've got our camera out, or our camera head. So I think actually all we need to do is release that in there. Whether I have something small enough in this set to do that. Yes, we do. I'm hoping if we release this, then we can slide this collar through and get rid of this big anodized block. Will that now slide through? Yes, it will. There we go. There's our camera. Well, I say camera, I don't think it's a sensor, it's not a camera, so to speak. So, what have we got here? Let's just get some of these superfluous bits off that are going to be of little interest to us. So this is going to be a CCD sensor. I suspect it's going to be a linear sensor, so that's one long line of pixels rather than a full frame. I could be wrong. I mean, there is enough pinning here, so these are going to be clock signals and possibly a video output. I don't know. It is colour, but colour is achieved by using a colour wheel on the light source. So you've got your CCD there. Haven't got anything to hand. So you've got your CCD there, you've got your film there, and then you've got a light source here, and then in the case of this, it's scanned across. The steppers for XY steppers for this are just immense. I had planned on using them to make a CNC or giant printer, but not going to happen. So where do we go next? So can we take, yep, we can take our lens off here, I think. Am I focusing that, or is that actually coming off? I think that's actually coming off. So I've got another one of these from a Cine scanner. Oh, well, that's just completely fallen to bits. Yes, so I've got another one of these from a Cine scanner. So what have we got here? We've got a plate here that appears to set an aperture of some kind. And is this a lens? Yeah, that's not a lens, so it's obviously just a filter of some kind. It's also now filthy, so we'll pop those back on. I don't know that this was doing anything for us. Oh, yeah, I think it is. This is a video where you get to watch me endlessly try and remove something that doesn't want to be removed. No, I think we actually have to take that cap and that filter off. And of course now I want them to come off. They won't. There we go. So we'll pop those to one side, and then I think this ring will come up over here. I don't know what that's achieved for us. Definitely a lens in there. Can we see what kind of CCD that is in there? No. So we've got some kind of control here. Aha, that might be what we need to eject that. So, can we undo that? No, we can't. I think we go for the back. So that's some kind of focus type setup there. Makes a lovely noise. Right, so let's have a look, see what we've got on the back here. So let's take this cable clamp off, because we're not going to get anywhere with those cables being restrained. and this is all very, very heavily screened, so noise is obviously a concern. So with the linear scanners, you're obviously only looking at a line at a time, but if you are stepping in exact increments of your pixel width, it's not a problem, and can actually make life easier because you're dealing with less data in one hit. If you're using a multi-megapixel sensor, then all of that data has to be processed, or at the very least stored, before your scan head can move again. If you're just thinking about a line, then you're only thinking of something along the lines of a very small line buffer to hold the data from this. And if you think we're also doing, I think this used 6 colours, it may have used even more, so you've got to then account for all those colour steps as well for each scan. What did I spray on this? Right, what do we need next? We need to get these big brass ones out. I'm wondering if these retain that, because they are quite long screws. That is indeed the case. So taking these 3 out will remove our lens. There's our lens off. So that is indeed some form of focus. I don't know that you'll see anything down there. That doesn't appear to come apart any further than we've got it, other than we might be able to pull that out, but I'm not sure that we really need to do that. Let's pull it out anyway. You're all here to watch things come apart. So that's obviously a stop that stops this lens from coming too far forwards. We have our spring, and then just a lens in there, and there is no lens in there, so maybe we're focusing to the sensor and that front assembly, maybe, who knows. There's our sensor, and it is indeed a linear sensor, so we'll have a closer look at that one in a second. Right, let's go deeper. So there probably won't be a lot in terms of electronics in here. I would expect to see nothing more than basically line drivers and maybe a little bit of signal conditioning. I can't remember what was on the end of these. The unit itself was disassembled a good few years ago. When I say a good few years ago, thinking about it, I don't think my son was even here then, so it could be nearly 10 years since this got taken apart. It's a lovely milled piece of aluminium that this is in. Everything, the engineering on this whole machine is just absolutely amazing. But then again, you're talking about a machine that would have cost tens of thousands. I could actually get the price for the machine, but I don't think it will serve us any point. I don't think I would. I won't. I think we're nearly there. So, I mean, those of you that are watching the videos, I mean, when I'm just unscrewing stuff like this, would you like me to fast forward past it, not show it, high speed it? I know in one of the last teardowns I did high speed a lot. Right, and that gets us these eventually, somehow. We need to think about how we're going to do this. Or do we? No, we can just remove them from the back here. So there's actually a bit more going on here than I expected. So let's just pop you off, and these connectors should just pull out, and I will zoom you in. Probably not as zoomed as I like, so you've got some more of these lovely gold RF connectors there, and just the other end of your IDC. So we've got an Atmel chip in here, ATV750BL, I'm not sure what that would be. We have no screws holding us in, so we are entirely held in by the CCD. There is an awful lot of adjustment in here. I'll bring this in so you can have a good look in there. Let me just turn on my other light. There we go. Get it as close as it'll let me. What I might do is actually get a good macro shot of that for you. It's a lovely piece of design. So, I guess we want the front off now. So under here is our linear CCD. And you can see the strip there that is actually the CCD itself. Now quite often these are mounted in sockets, and it looks like this one is. So we'll have to figure how to release that from its socket. There's your CCD. What a lovely piece of electronics that is. I will again try and get a better high-res photo of this for you. Lovely bit of chip. So, how do we remove this gently without destroying it? It is a good question. Let's see if we can get something under here. It's possible there's heatsink compound under here as well. Indeed, I think this is not going to come up easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this little jeweler screwdriver to push down on the edge of the socket and try and disengage the socket from the chip. That appears to be working. Not something you'd want to have to do in situ. There's. Oh, we have movement now. So you might be able to get that blade under. There we go. And just gently lever that chip up. I know I shouldn't be using a blade, but I actually don't know what I've got that's thin enough to actually get in here other than a blade. And although these are sharp, they're also fairly strong. And yes, I have my glasses on. That's the chip out. And there's the electronics, and we've got even more in there now. This is an SL151423. I will find out exactly what this chip is and chuck it down there. But there's a lot more circuitry on this than I expected to see. There's a lot of analog devices chippery in there, which I'm going to guess are EEPROMs. What I'll probably EEPROMs or perhaps what I'll probably do is again get a good high-res picture of this for you. And then you can peruse at your leisure. But yeah, there's a lot more analog on here than I thought. Eskofot, there we go, there's the manufacturer. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to it. As I say, there is another one of these I want to do. But I'm going to stop now. I'm going to leave you at this point, and before I finish the video, I'm going to get some lovely high-res pictures